street, he says, why?
Welcome back to Double Al. I'm Al. We are here today with, it looks like, the other Al. Welcome, other Al.
Thank you. Thank you. We also have producer Joey in the corner here with us.
Absolutely incredible. No other guests, though.
Nah, nope. Try as we might. Nothing for this week, but we will try to get. I think we have some guests, or at least one guest lined up for next week. So be on the lookout. Potentially a new guest that's never been on the show before.
Potentially. This episode is brought to you by Orange Pineapple Seltzer Water.
No way.
Sparkling water.
I wasn't going to do this as a sponsor, but I happen to have an empty can next to me here. So we've got some Wegmans watermelon sparkling water. But my real sponsor is actually, I think this is the first time I've doubled up 2 weeks in a row. I'm just doing the peppermint rum chata hot cocoa again.
Do you have a Wegmans out there?
No. My mother graciously bought me some at Thanksgiving and sent it out with me, and I haven't drank them all yet.
It's contraband out there.
It is.
That's we're using
Don't
empty
tell the
bottles.
authorities.
It's also brought to you by Gatorade.
Well, uh-oh. I have a lot of liquid.
It's also brought to you by nail trimmers.
Okay, you got me beat there. I don't have those.
Yeah. Oh, one more sponsor today. We're glad we could get this one. This is Canned Air.
I love canned air. Well, I guess, as long as we're ripping sponsors, we've got some Yankee Candle.
We're very blessed.
Lots of sponsors today. As you can tell, we are thriving.
No trades to report on because we are past the trade deadline.
Oh,
very exciting.
Y'all should be trading.
I guess you could trade picks if you want to.
Yeah, or you could, you could drop players and hope the other person picks them up.
Some very exciting Week 13 matchups we had here. The first one we're going to look at is yours, and this is the game that kept you in playoff contention. Going into Monday night, it was kind of scary, but your whole team played on Monday night. You had 4 players going, and they had some really good performances all around. Travis Etienne getting 17.9, Jamar Chase 31.62. Evan Ingram had a strong performance. Calvin Ridley even had a pretty good performance too. Slightly under expectations, but overall, very good game from those folks and very good game from you. Keeps you alive.
It was certainly enough. I know, you said Calvin Ridley had a good game. I disagree. I think that was pretty bad. But when you're getting 17, which is above the projected for Etienne, Jamar Chase, I would say has not been worth the 5th overall pick that I used on him this year. However, this game he clutched for me, and what a time for me to have my highest score of the year with Evan Ingram as well. 23.2 from a tight end when he hasn't. I don't know as if he's gotten more than 15 points for the entire rest of the year. So, really just a clutch performance. Dom put up a good fight. I enjoyed going into that Monday night game with a feeling of I was telling my coworkers that I was eliminated from the playoffs in this league. Because I didn't think my team was gonna. I knew I had a lot of players playing. I had a lot of good players playing, but I just didn't think they were gonna pull it out. And it was a lot of fun. It was maybe the most fun I've had watching football this year. I enjoy when it's actually, when you're actually like on the edge of your seat a little bit. And when they went into overtime, I knew that I was gonna get it. So yeah, it was fun.
Not only exciting for you from a fantasy perspective, but just exciting football all around. Surprising considering both teams are using backup quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a great game. CJ Beathard versus what's his name for the Bengals. Yeah, Browning. That's right. Interesting to note, it wouldn't have been close at all if I had started Devon Achane instead of Brian Robinson Jr. My thought going into the game was last time Achane came back from injury, he put up 1.5 points before re-injuring himself. So I was going to let him sit on the bench this week and see what happened because I did not need another very low performance, which is ironically what I got from Brian Robinson because he scored 5.3 and then got injured before halftime. So if I had started Achane, I would have gotten 25 instead of 5. And also important to note, Geno Smith, who I still have on my bench because I just didn't drop him after I needed a backup quarterback, had 29 to Patrick Mahomes' 13. So if I had started either of them, which obviously I'm never going to start Geno Smith over Patrick Mahomes. It's just not going to happen. As much as Joey told me I would have been smart to do so after he saw Geno Smith put up 29. But no, I was not going to start Geno over Patrick Mahomes, but it ended up not mattering, and I got the win, which is great.
Yeah, I still think, smart move to sit Achan no matter the result. You're not going to want to put him in after past results.
He will,
And,
he will be in my lineup this week.
No one's going to be batting an eye at you playing Patrick Mahomes over Geno Smith. No one's going to be questioning that decision.
I think looking at Dom's team, important to note, great performances from his running backs, especially Chuba Hubbard, whatever his first name is. The rest of his team, some okay performances here and there. Russell Wilson was average. Cortland Sutton was pretty good. Kelsey, I would say, underperformed what you would expect from him. But other than that, it was kind of average performances from Dom. So, it was almost enough to win if I didn't have great performances from my Monday night players and Calvin Ridley, then I wouldn't have been able to beat him. So happy for Dom. I'm hoping I can come for him next week, but we will get into that in a little bit.
All right. Next matchup is Prana versus Jeff. Jeff does not play a defense here. He had Jacksonville defense who ended up scoring -2. He still would have won the game, and there are several calls from the league calling him a coward for not playing the defense. I would have done the same as Jeff, but yeah. There was a real shot there getting towards the end of the game that if he did play that defense, he would have lost. So smart move by him. Pranov doesn't play defense here. He wins. But no one's usually not starting a defense, especially the Cowboys defense. They usually put up, double digits, if not into the 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. You never want to see it when you're going into a Monday night game hoping for your opponent's defense to score negative points. But I think, looking at it as an outside objective observer like you and I are, I think we can agree that Jeff did the smart thing there. If it was me in that situation, I probably would have done the exact same thing. So, it sucks when that's what you're going up against. And if he had played the defense, like you said, he still would have won, but it would have been close. And also, Pranav's defense, which usually is not going to go negative points ever, somehow did. So it's frustrating when you're playing against it, but I think we can all agree it is the smart play.
Yeah, and on Jeff's team, I mean, with the wide receivers that he has, Tyreek Hill putting up 32, Nico Collins 34, he's truly a threat in the playoffs this year. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
These are looking like the two best teams heading into the playoffs. It's likely, they could meet each other before the finals, just based on how the seeding's going to work. Pranov's going to be number 1. It's looking like Jeff's going to be number 4. So I do think they would play each other before the finals. Yeah. So this won't necessarily be a Sri Rumble matchup, but still very likely a playoff matchup we see in the future.
Yeah. Jeff's team, his wide receivers are I think everybody knows his wide receivers are his strong point on his team. Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, both are. You're going to be shocked if they score less than 20 on most games. And, AJ Brown had 19.4. But
I think AJ Brown's still number 2. I think they're 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah. So Jeff's receivers are obviously the strong point of his team. When looking at the rest of his team, I do get a little worried about Kyler Murray. He doesn't have a great supporting cast. He is still coming back from injury a little bit. And then I also do get a little worried about his running backs. I think both Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson have an opportunity to put up big numbers for Jeff any given week, but they also have an opportunity to put up pretty low numbers any given week. So I worry about the quarterback and the running backs for Jeff, but I mean Jeff has proven that he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs, and as long as his running backs and Kyler can put up enough points, his wide receivers are going to more than do the rest of the work for him.
Absolutely. And then on Pranov's team, really the Cowboys carrying his team again, but really an overall great team that I would like to have.
Yeah, I think with Pranav, I think like you said, the Cowboys are going to put up some big numbers most of the time. Their offense does look good this year. The question for me is his players on the Falcons and whether or not they're going to be utilized in each and every week.
Here.
Yeah, and I mean, Pranav also has the Brown magic, as he calls it, going for him this year. So there's always that to consider. I feel like that can't be ignored. Although, playoffs, everything starts over, so you never know.
True. When I had it a few years ago, it wasn't until the finals when I sat Jamar Chase that I ended up losing. I played T. Higgins over Jamar Chase. I would have won, but we don't need to talk about that.
You should have just played both of them. I still don't understand why you didn't play both of them.
That's a good point. I don't remember my exact lineup. We could dig it up, but we'll talk about Joey's game. He beat Bobby,
sure,
and that keeps him in playoff contention. Not too long ago, I think he was like, 4-6, scraping his way back up, and he's done what he needs to do to get into having a shot. I think he's now 7-6, heading into the final week, and 146 is a really good score. It's the highest score of the week.
Yeah, good job, Joey. Big 3-week winning streak for Joey. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. He's had an impressive claw. He's clawed back in his division, and really big for him to be able to do that, because it was not looking good for Joey for a while. He keeps himself alive in that playoff hunt, and that's huge. That's huge for Joey. And he had a great performance he had a very solid performance from Jalen Hurts, but for the rest of his team, Puka Nacua was really good. Sam Laporta, 29 from a tight end. 29 from a tight end not named Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews. You don't see that very often. And then Christian Watson as well. Just two huge performances that you'd never expect to see from your tight end and your flex position, and that's what he got. So Joey's got to be happy with that.
And Bobby's probably a little disappointed with the loss here. He still technically can make it into the playoffs. Very low percentage-wise, but we'll go over that a little bit later. He's probably happy that Jordan Love not only put up a pretty good score fantasy-wise, but he is the greatest quarterback of all time, beating Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't at home for the Chiefs, but still fun for him to watch that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Bobby, like you said, not happy with losing a game with such high playoff implications when you score 138. So,
yeah, he would have won a lot of games this week.
Yeah, he would have won most games this week. So it is unfortunate for Bobby. I feel for you, but yeah, he had solid. Derrick Henry was really good. Michael Pittman was really good. Cade Otton less than good, but besides that, 138 is a good score, and it's unfortunate that it couldn't get it done this week, but it's a good score.
It's a good score. I'll give it to him. It's a good score. All right, Devin beats Ryan, and likewise to Bobby. Ryan is really not too much in playoff contention at the moment. It's mathematically possible, but it's probably not going to happen. And as for Devin, this win clinches his way in. He is now one of the 4 teams that is guaranteed to have a playoff spot.
Yeah. Congratulations to Devin. It was just, a great performance. We were just talking about how good Bobby's team was, and Devin scored one more than him. Devontae Smith, Trey McBride. It was a big week for tight ends, I've noticed. I think a lot of tight ends put up some very solid scores.
Yeah, and Devin made a trade that got him Trey McBride, and that's turning out very well for him. Ever since he received that trade, he's been going off.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. Evan Ingram had a big score. Trey McBride, Joey's tight end had a really big score. I think there was one more tight end that we passed that I'm forgetting right now, but also had a higher score than you would think from a tight end. So big week for tight ends out there. Who would have guessed?
Who would have thought?
And Travis Kelce only had 12.
In the week
But
where
yeah,
both my tight ends are on buys, all the luck was spread around. Something Devin does have to worry about. Christian Kirk went down with an injury in that game. I thought it looked pretty bad. He fell on his shoulder, I think. But then it might have been reported as a lower body injury a little later in the game. So we'll see if he has to miss any time for that. That's a pretty key piece of Devin's team.
yeah.
Hopefully, with this kind of bye week he has coming up, week 14, he doesn't need to really worry about it. Christian Kirk can get healthy. But also, Trevor Lawrence was going to get an MRI today. I haven't looked at the news yet. He might be out for the year. It looked pretty bad.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard anything.
I've not heard anything, but I assume you're looking it up. So yeah, it was not. It was a bad. Was it his own O lineman that stepped on his ankle? I couldn't really
someone
tell.
did step on his ankle.
Yeah. Totally, obviously not intentional by anybody. It was a pretty freak accident. Somebody just happened to step on his ankle. He went down. It took him a long time. I don't know why they didn't have a golf cart or anything for him. They walked him all the way back to the locker room at about 1 mile an hour. So it didn't look good. He couldn't put his own. He had to have two people walking him, so he could not put weight on that foot. Not looking good for Trevor Lawrence. But luckily, I mean,
there's an article from 3 hours ago from CBS Sports that says he's doing everything he can in hopes of playing next week with a high ankle sprain. So I guess there was no like bone damage, no ligament damage, just a little bit of a sprain. That is probably best case scenario for Devin. Ryan was actually, he has Trevor Lawrence. He got up to 25 points by the time he got out. It was looking like Devin might lose the game. Ryan was catching up quick, and then the injury happened. It was done for him.
Yeah, it's a tough injury for Ryan. And it could have, like you said, he could have passed Devin. He would have needed 10 more points from Lawrence, which would have been tough, but doable with how that game was going and the overtime and everything. So, yeah, unfortunate for Ryan. It is interesting. You know, we saw Mahomes last year with a high ankle sprain absolutely destroy the playoffs and end up winning the Super Bowl. So, you know, Trevor Lawrence is obviously not Patrick Mahomes, but he is a very talented quarterback. And, you know, maybe he can play with an ankle sprain. But if not, you know, that's just another Florida team that lost their quarterback. So, you know, the NFL playoff committee might decide that they're not allowed to play in the playoffs, like what happened to FSU.
Yeah, I mean, we don't typically talk about college here, but
no. But it must be said, FSU got screwed.
It did kind of seem like they got snubbed out of that. Wouldn't you say?
I would say. I don't play devil's
college football too closely, but I don't know if Alabama should have been in.
And you know, to play devil's advocate, I did see that. So obviously, it's tough. But when you look at the video of Michigan State's team, or not Michigan State, sorry, Michigan's team, realizing that they have to play Alabama, not FSU, and they looked very disappointed, you do kind of think, well, I mean, I guess right now, without FSU's quarterback, Alabama's the better team. But that being said,
they won for 2 weeks without their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, again, I'm on the side of FSU should be in the playoff because they went 13-0 in a Power 5 conference. But
playing two SEC schools as well.
Yep. I guess the playoff committee couldn't have their playoffs without an SEC team in there. So
that's true. They had to include that.
Yeah. But back to the NFL, back to our fantasy football league. That's
yes.
Just
back to Zane losing here. To me, came down to Monday night. Joe Mixon needed 4 yards, and he got over 100. It looks like I actually don't know if he got 100, but he definitely got at least 2 touchdowns, 29.7 fantasy points. Very happy with that. One of my highest scores of the year. I'm very happy. Very happy with this performance. Clinched my playoff spot. And Zane needs to win this upcoming week if he wants to be in.
Yeah, I mean, Zane had pretty average performances all around if you're not looking at people named Mike Evans or Noah Brown. Evans obviously the high outlier there, and then Noah Brown being the very low outlier. So, yeah, I mean, when you're putting up those scores against somebody who scored 140 points, you're probably not going to win. Cooper Kupp was very pedestrian for you, but your running backs and Brock Purdy really carried it.
Cooper Kupp's game got saved by a late game touchdown where he was just barely in the end zone and caught it without moving much. I'm still not convinced he's healthy.
Yeah, hopefully he can get himself healthy, and at least by the time we get there to watch him live.
Zane was a little frustrated with this game. The fact that Cooper Kupp and Brock Purdy had some garbage time points. I'll give him Cooper Kupp, but Brock Purdy, I mean, he had 0 points going into the second quarter of that game, and I was very scared. And he just turned it on. It was like they really wanted to win against the Eagles at home, and they did. It was awesome.
It's crazy that Brock Purdy is going to be NFL MVP this year.
I mean, that was a very impressive performance. It was a fun game to watch. Not only to watch the Eagles lose. I don't even like the 49ers. I'm liking the 49ers now because Brock Purdy's a likable guy.
I know. I don't like the 49ers either. They're just a team that I weirdly have always not liked for no reason whatsoever.
I'm in the same boat.
But, you know, I think this year I might enjoy watching Philadelphia lose more than I enjoy watching anything else happen in football.
It's fun. I do like
it's so fun.
You know, I like some of the Eagles players too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't hate Jason Kelsey, obviously. And, you know, they've got some good players over there. And they've only lost twice, so it's not like they've lost a bunch of games and it's like, ooh, I love watching this every week. It's only been twice. So
yeah, they're probably going to make it to the playoffs. They're probably going to make it to the Super Bowl.
But they have to play the 49ers again. I don't know.
Are you ready to get to the most exciting matchup of the week?
Finally, I've been waiting.
Bowl. Not only a kicker defense bowl, but one of the most impressive performances from two teams we've seen in this matchup in a while. 17 and 15 from Ian from his defense and kicker. And Owen didn't even not put up a fight. 14 and 7. That's going to win a lot of defense kicker matchups. This is super impressive, super fun to watch, and congrats to Ian on the win here.
Yeah, Ian's team did well. Ian's defense and kicker had higher scores than you'd expect to see from either position. So, you know, Owen, it's going to be tough to win a kicker defense bowl when the opposing defense puts up 17 and the opposing kicker puts up 15. So, you know, Owen is I know he's going to rue this L for a long time. He's not happy about it. Mm-hmm. And Ian, I'm sure, is ecstatic and over the moon, but I'm going to need him to focus up on next week.
Yeah, you have a big ask for him next week. We'll get into that. But Ian, he did risk falling into last place in a few of the position races now. He's in last place in 3 of them. He might have been anyway, but this definitely doesn't help. There's no punishment for being in last in those. He wasn't going to win any of those, not in the top 3. So he's not going to be too worried. But this is slightly below half of some of Ian's full team scores. So I think he was in the 60s maybe a few times. I don't want to put out false information, but I do think he was in the 60s a few times.
At least last year, I know he definitely dipped. I think he dipped into the 50s once last year. Might have even been in the 40s, I'm not sure. But this year, he definitely has been low quite a few times. So could be that he dropped into the 60s. But, yeah, I mean, hey, you always love to see a kicker defense bowl. It's always a fun time when two teams are mathematically eliminated already, so they just decide to have fun with it. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at Division 1. 3 of the teams have clinched their way into the playoffs. Pranov not only clinched playoff spot. Not only clinched the division title, he has clinched the number one seed. He will have a bye week, and he's number one. He's got the best team. And
Now, remind me.
he has the lowest points against too, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah. Now, remind me, Pranav, the record for what's the record again for most wins in a season? Is it 12 or is it 11?
It's 12 in the regular season.
Okay, so Pranav officially cannot have sole possession of the record in our league.
He could tie me. Yep.
He could. So that would be big. That would be a bit of history for the league right there. Is 12 wins is hard to come by.
Absolutely. You have to have a good team to do that.
Or a lucky team. Did you get 12 wins when you had the Magic too?
Yes.
Maybe it's more luck maybe fantasy football is more luck than skill.
And then Jeff and Devin also have their teams clinched into the playoffs. I'd like to note that Devin has the lowest points for of any team currently clinched in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say. Ryan's down there in fourth in his division. He still has a shot. Division 2. I'm leading that right now. Joey jumps up into second with the win he had this last week. Zane's down there, 1 win behind Joey. Bobby's down there in last, tied with Zane for wins. Joey and Zane right around half and half in terms of if they're going to make it into the playoffs or not. And then down in Division 3, Dom in the lead. You're down there 1 game back. Ian and Owen, we don't really have to talk about those teams. They are eliminated mathematically from the playoffs.
Yep. And I think, so remind me, Joey and Zane both have a close to 50% chance of, do they play each other in the last week?
Yes, they actually do. They play each other in the last week, and here's how each of those teams can make it into the playoffs. Joey, if he beats Zane, he's in, right? He's going to have 8 wins. No one else is going to be able to take him out. Zane, if he beats Joey, he's pretty much in, and there's a small likelihood that Ryan or Bobby could get in as well. But here's why it's not going to happen. For Ryan to get in, he's got to beat Jeff this week. That's going to be hard for Ryan to do. On top of that, Zane has to beat Joey, and then Ryan has to have a score 79 higher than Zane. So that's not impossible. He could score.
Not impossible.
He could score like 160. Zane could score like 80. But Zane also has to win the game. Zane has to win.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Is he's playing against Joey's team, which is a good team. So in order to beat Joey, he has to put up a decent score. So then on top of that, Ryan would have to put up more than 200 points in order to make the playoffs. So
yeah, and then Bobby, if he beats me this week, Zane beats Joey, and he's got to score 98 more than Zane to get in. And the way I calculated that is just simply looking at the points for. Bobby's got to catch up to that 1604 points for that Zane has. That's going to be the tiebreaker when it comes to wins. It's not going to happen. Bobby and Ryan really aren't going to be making it into the playoffs unless something crazy happens. So really it comes down to who wins that Joey-Zane game this week. That's where most of our eyes are turning. We're also going to be looking at Division 3. You have a points for advantage of a little less than 100 points, so pretty safe there. You have to win your matchup this week, and then Dom has to lose his matchup this week.
It's safe to say that if I win and Dom loses, I'm in. But that comes with a very, very heavy caveat there. Of first of all, I have to win. I can't treat my matchup against Owen like an automatic win because anything can happen. So Owen could very, very easily beat me, and boom, that's it. I'm done. But if I do win, I still need to depend on Ian to beat Dom, and that's the main thing I think I'm worried about is Ian beating Dom. So it could happen. It could happen, and I hope it does. But Ian's team has been pretty bad this year, and Dom's has been consistently good enough to get wins, at least a few wins. So It's a little worrying. But that being said, I have faith in Ian. He has been holding it over my head this week. Every time he deems that I'm not nice enough to him, he says he's going to bench his players or something like that. So, um, it. I think Ian is definitely going to um, play his full team. But if we look at the points for Ian, is in last place in that by almost 200 points. So
Yeah, and he didn't play all his players this week, but he would
that
be
is true.
anyways. He'd be in last anyways.
He would be in last anyways. Um, that's the thing I'm scared about. I'm scared about Ian's team being able to beat Dom. Anything can happen, like I said, with my team versus Owens. But it is a little worrisome. Can't lie.
It should be a little worrisome. And then a little bit of inside. What's the saying? Inside basketball.
Inside baseball.
Inside baseball. Inside
Yep.
fantasy football, as we'll say here. So the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are going to be determined by division champions. Pranov gets the 1. Either myself or Joey's going to get the 2. And whoever wins your division is going to get the 3. 4, 5, and 6. Kind of up for debate, but it looks like Jeff with his points 4 is going to get number 4. Number 5 should either be Joey or myself. And then, Jane. It could be Zane as well. Zane, Joey, or myself. And then number 6 should be Devin. Devin, I think, is playing Jeff or Pranov this week.
Yeah.
So Devin almost wants to lose this week so that he's playing Division 3, the winner there in the first round of the playoffs.
Hey, why don't you go to the next slide real quick so we can see the matchups? I just want to see who Jeff and Devin are playing against. So Devin is okay. So they're not playing each other. So there is a possibility that both of those teams win, and the points 4 have to decide it.
And it's going to go. It's going to go to Jeff at that point.
Right.
And I don't think Devin wants to play Jeff, so I think that's why he's not going to try to lose to Prano, but he's not going to try to win this week. That way, he can either play you or Dom in the first round. And it's almost like a bye, really.
I think if my team gets in, you got to be scared of my team. But whatever. if you must say that, I mean, hey.
I'm just saying what might be going through Devin's head at the moment. All right, Joey got the highest score this week. Second time he's done that. Good job to producer Joey.
Nice.
And I haven't done it yet this year. You haven't done it yet this year. Ian hasn't done it yet this year. A few other people, maybe.
Even Owen's done it
on this list. I know Owen did it. What are we doing?
Back when Owen's team looked legit.
Yeah, what are we doing? All right, and then we actually have some position scores for the first time in a few weeks, and we have some fights. First, we have quarterback Dom and Joey, only a point apart. So really, whoever's quarterback scores the most this week, I think we're only counting regular season. So that's for some money.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, see if I got lineups that I can load in. Joey should be playing Jalen Hurts this week. Dom should be playing Josh Allen. So whichever one of those really scores the most.
Yeah, let me take a look because which week is this for the NFL? Is this week 14?
We're going into week 14, yeah.
Okay, so the only teams with bye weeks this week are the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Commanders. So both Joey and Dom's quarterbacks are looking good.
Yeah, geez. That's so tight. I know we don't usually predict these, but Jalen Hurts is playing the Cowboys next week. I might have to give that to Joey.
Okay, who are the Bills playing against? Who are the Bills playing?
Let's see. The Bills, coming off a bye week, are going to be playing Kansas City.
Ooh, that Kansas City defense is pretty good. They're the only defense in the NFL that has kept every single opponent they've played so far to under 25 points.
You know what?
Which might not be true anymore. That's not true anymore, but it was going into last week.
Give me Joey for the upset here.
Yeah, I think that's tough because I think Josh Allen's going to have a good game because, he's been hearing all the, he's no good. He always turns the ball over. Nancy's. Yeah, a lot of negative talk around Josh Allen, and it's the Chiefs. The Bills and the Chiefs do have a little bit of a rivalry going, but so do the Eagles and the Cowboys. So I think that's going to motivate both quarterbacks. Um, you know what? I'm going to say Joey wins it by a tush push.
Good call. The
Thank you.
running back matchup, Ryan's in the lead. I mean, you have a shot. You'll need 60 points more than
Yeah,
out of your guys. So Ryan's gonna really secure that one.
Ryan will win.
For wide receiver, Jeff is, I think, pretty much
He'll win.
solid there. Just a note, you are in fourth place in the wide receiver competition. Just so you know.
Yep.
I'm sure you're happy about that. Tight end. That's
Love it.
pretty open. Tight end's pretty open.
It is. I'm kind of surprised. I thought I might end up back on the list. I know I was in it for a little while earlier this season with Evan Ingram's big performance, but I think Joey's tight end had a bigger performance than mine did this week. So yeah, the tight end race is pretty wide open. Dom with Travis Kelce is still winning, but you're not too far behind, and Joey is breathing down your neck as well. So
yeah, so really,
that's a tight race.
Within a few points, I mean, TJ Hawkinson could have outscored Travis Kelce by 4 this week. It could go the other way. I'm going to hope it's myself here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dom got the win. Defense is also pretty close. Only 4 points difference between Pranav and Zane. The Cowboys also going up against the Eagles this week. So that's going to be tough for Pranav. I don't know who Zane's defense is or who he's got rostered. Let's see.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible to see Zane winning this competition either. And then for the one that really matters, kicker, super tight race.
The tightest race.
4 points for the win here between 3 teams. And I think there's a few teams right behind us. So it's really anyone's game.
Now, who is your kicker?
The kicker I'll be playing this week is Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks.
All right. And Dom obviously has Justin Tucker, and Owen, not 100% sure who he has, but
Owen has Jake Elliott.
I was gonna guess Jake Elliott. That's a good that's a good guess to make there. But yeah, I mean, Jake Elliott's a stud, so that doesn't surprise me.
I wouldn't go either way too. All right, last week of the regular season. Exciting. We're going to be talking about playoffs next week.
Yep.
We'll know who's in, know what the matchups are. This week we have Jeff versus Ryan and Pranav versus Devin for Division 1. Ryan wants to win to have that very slight chance to get in, but really not a whole lot of implications here. So just quickly.
Not a ton. It's just seeding stuff. Like you said,
Devin, going through those, I think Jeff and Pranav win those games.
Yep, I would say so. I'm going to take Jeff and Pranav as well. Zane and Joey, huge
That's the big game.
That's the big game
spot.
That is the big game,
and
that's a tough. I think
it's going to be tight.
I think Joey's got the hot hand right now, but that it's tough. But Joey's team looks really good right now. I think I'm going to take Joey.
The story's too good. I'm going to have to go with Joey here. Needed to win 3 weeks in a row. I think he's going to get it, and I think he's going to make it in.
I think I would not be surprised if Zane does. That's a big game. That'll be interesting to keep tabs on.
I'm glad we did get a game like this near the end of the year. Last week, winning you're in, losing you're out. These are always exciting.
Yep. Always
Bobby
exciting.
Game, not so important. Oh, so let's predict the Zane Joey game.
I think I said I'm taking Joey, but it's close. It's very close.
I guess we did. Yeah, I'm going with Joey.
Okay.
Alex Bobby Game doesn't matter.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Because if you lose and Joey wins.
Yeah, if I lose and Joey wins and Joey scores at least 4 less than me, he's going to be the number 1 seed, and I'll be playing in a game in round 1. So
a wild card game.
No, I'll try and win. I was going to try and win anyway. I'm going to give it to myself. Bobby hasn't been scoring as much, but even if I lose and Joey wins, if I outscore Joey by 4 or more, I'm going to be in good shape. So,
You know what? Just because I think there's going to be some chaos, nothing against you, I will be taking Bobby to win this game, and we're going to let the points for it decide the winner of the division.
okay, it's actually 10. Joey has to.
Okay.
I have to score 10 more than Joey if I lose.
I mean, that's it. Could be possible that Joey scores 10 more than you if he wins and you lose, but yeah.
No. Joey has
like
more
I said.
Points. No, Joey has more points than I do now. I have to have like 10.
Okay, so if you lose and Joey wins, it's safe to say you're unless your game is really high scoring and Joey's is not. Joey will, if Joey wins and you lose, he will probably get the division.
He's probably going to get the division. Yeah, he's playing for potential division win here. I guess I am.
Well, then I'm taking Bobby because that would be a fun. You know what? I'm going to take Bobby. But I'm saying that your game is high scoring enough that you lose, but still take the division from Joey.
I'd love that.
That's my official prediction.
That's a good one. I'll agree with that.
Yep.
All right, Ian and Dom and Alan and Owen. More important games down here, and I'm gonna run the gauntlet here. I'm gonna predict that you get into the playoffs.
Ooh, okay. I was gonna predict that as well because at this point, it's a very subjective choosing, and it's just I'm trying to will it into existence. But the smart thing to do is probably to take Dom over Ian for sure. That's the smart choice.
Yeah, but Ian wins some games.
He wins some games, and his team has a possibility to pop off at any given moment. So, but again, this is purely. Don't even take my opinion into consideration on this one because I'm purely trying to will myself into the playoffs. I'm taking Ian over Dom, and I'm taking myself over Owen.
Ian and Dom have played once this year. They played back in week 3, and Ian beat Dom.
Yep.
That was one of his wins. Ian has not won since week 7. It's now week 14.
Well, he won this week.
Oh, wait, I guess he won this week. He hasn't won a legitimate game since week 7.
Yeah.
But he
Ian, pull through, please. Please pull through.
It could happen. Ian is averaging, I think, 90 points a game, right around there.
Yeah, it's not good.
Dom's not averaging that much more, but he is averaging, I think, at least 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dom's got at least 100 a game. You're far ahead above Dom in terms of points for, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the win.
Yeah, it's a nerve-wracking week for me. I need
you're watching multiple games going on. Not only that,
I also feel like I do need to say that I also do need to beat Owen. I can't, I'm not trying to make it sound like me beating Owen is a lock. It's not, and I need to beat him for sure.
Yeah. You can't sleep on
But me personally, I feel like the situation that is less likely to happen is Ian beats Dom. I feel like I'm more likely to beat Owen than Ian is to beat Dom, and that's why I'm putting so much stock into Ian beating Dom.
Yeah, there's a reason we're focusing on one game a little bit more than the other. You beating Owen, 65% chance. Ian beating Dom, like 25% chance.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
So
you'll be watching those 2 games. You'll probably also be watching the Division 2 games just to see if Joey can get that division. I know Joey will be pretty excited there. I'll be watching all the matchups because being in the playoffs, I want to see who's playing who next week. You're just hoping not to be in the ladder of sadness. It's super 100%. Sad down there. Being down there.
I know. I know it's sad down there.
You are the king of the ladder of sadness.
I am the absolute
if you don't make the
king of
playoffs, your team is built to dominate the ladder of sadness.
My team is always built to dominate the ladder of sadness. But that's
picks to make sure that you're on top.
Yeah, I just can't lose. That's the deal. But yeah, I love when this happens. As we get to the end of the season, and there's a lot of different possibilities for things to happen. It's objectively fun to watch. Division 1, like we said, there's not a ton of interesting things going on there. Ryan is almost guaranteed. Like mathematically, he's not eliminated yet, but he's eliminated. Um, but who gets that first wild card spot versus the other one? That's up for grabs. But everybody else in Division One has a playoff spot, and Pranav has the division. So there's not a ton going on in Division One, but in Division Two and Division Three, there's some huge implications going on this week. So it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And we will be here. Oh,
just to bring it up, a little thought experiment. Joey is representing Joey, and I hope you are representing my team, scoring 10 points more than him after losing this week.
Okay.
So Joey thinks he's going to become the division champion here, and unfortunately,
boom,
knocked out.
Yeah. He won the game. He's like, I'm confident. I got this. I won the division. Let's go. And nothing.
Rumors had he won the first round of that boxing match. I wasn't there, so I can't.
First 2 rounds. I will give it to Joey. We had 3 rounds. You saw that video was the entire 3rd round. But Joey did win the first 2 rounds because I was just big and slow, and he was going in, little maniac going in and just throwing jabs at my side and stomach and everything. And so I got to give Joey props where it's due. I finally learned to just, and as you probably, me holding my arm out like this the whole time looked stupid, but I kept him at arm's length and I just swung and hit him. And I finally, put it together in my head that I have to fight smart.
That's more exciting anyways.
Exactly.
Speed and jabs, just
exactly. One big punch, knock him to the ground, boom.
Do you have any questions for the audience this week?
Yeah, you know what I do? I was kind of inspired by our earlier discussion. I want to know what everybody's opinion is on, the college football playoff selection committee. I'm sure there's plenty of opinions out there. Who do you think deserve the most to get in? Who do you think? I want to see this list. Which 4 teams you think are the best, and which 4 you think deserved it the most? Because I think there's definitely. And I mean at best as in currently as their best. Obviously, FSU with their quarterback is probably going to be ranked a little higher than FSU without their quarterback. So we're taking the fact that FSU does not have their starting quarterback in the mix. Who right now are the 4 best teams, and who are the 4 most deserving? Because I think that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, I think my 4 most deserving teams are going to be Liberty, undefeated. We're going to have to go with Toledo to be in there. Almost undefeated.
Yeah, but they lost their championship game, so I don't know about that.
I still think they deserve to be in there. Whatever team Archie Manning's on, I don't remember.
Texas, who they are in.
Okay, is he starting? I don't think he's starting.
No, Quinn Ewers is starting for that team.
So Texas, but instead of whoever's starting, it's
they start Arch. Okay.
Yeah. And then the third one, give it to Northwestern. They deserve it.
Classic. I mean, hey, we made a bowl game after winning 1 game last year, so that's good. I think I would go with 4 most deserving would be Michigan, Washington, FSU, and Texas. And then I think I'm leaving Oregon out. I think 4 best at the moment are Michigan, Texas, Alabama, and
probably Georgia.
Yeah, it's Georgia. I mean, Georgia for sure. Which is another interesting, because how was Georgia the number 1 ranked team in the country, and then they lose a game by 3 points, and then they're out of the whole thing? That's also wild to me.
I guess it's just like an unanswered question things. Like Alabama played Georgia. True. We know how that went there, so that question's answered. We don't need to have both of them be represented in the
Right.
It's not a real playoffs anyway. It's a selection.
It's 4 games. I think it'll be a lot more fun next year when there's 12 teams. But it is tough to get 4 teams, especially when Texas beat Bama, Bama beat Georgia. So if you do that math, then technically Texas and Alabama should be in there ahead of Georgia. But it is interesting that if Georgia had won their game, they would have been the number 1 ranked team. But they lose it by 3 points, and they're out of the playoff.
Yeah, they get that 5-6 game. Whoever cares about
the Orange Bowl.
I'm sure it's important, but
And the Orange Bowl is interesting because that's a lose-lose situation for FSU. Because if they win the Orange Bowl, then it's because Georgia didn't want to be there. They wanted to make the playoff, whatever. They didn't care about it. But if they lose the Orange Bowl, then, well, FSU didn't deserve to be in the college football playoff because they just lost the Orange Bowl. They lost a game that's not even in the playoffs, so they don't deserve to be in. So it's a lose-lose. It's lose-lose for FSU, that's for sure.
They're probably going to win it.
We'll see. Without their quarterback playing against Georgia, Georgia's a good team.
I don't think the Dogs care.
They probably don't, but
didn't they win the national
it'll be interesting.
Last year?
They did. Actually, the past 2 years, I think. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Bama's probably just going to win it all because there is no justice in the world. So, yeah, just that's a long way of saying leave down below. What are your opinions on who should have made it, and then who you think are the 4 best and the 4 most deserving? And just let me know, like, if you were the playoff committee, what would you have chosen?
It's a good question. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Other Al. The Manning that I'm feeling is Peyton Manning the dog up here. I mean, look at him. It's just
side-eyeing.
I'm gonna go squeeze my dog after this.
Oh, that's cute.
He's so good.
Let's see. Which Manning am I feeling? Oh man, I don't know. This is tough. I'm not really feeling any sort of way right now. I'll go with
nihilism.
I'll go with Peyton up there above the Hall of Fame picture. Just because I get to work from home tomorrow, and then I think I'm going into the city to watch the Bulls play the Hornets with some coworkers. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
Safe.
I will be.
All right. You want to roll a nice outro for us?
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us for our Week 13 recap and our Week 14, last week of the regular season preview. Again, stick around next week as we will be talking playoffs, and we should have a guest, again, one who has not been on the show before. And, we might try to get some more guests in here, maybe some playoff teams. We'll ask around. And if you are interested in joining the show, please let us know. But besides that, I think that does it for us this week. Everybody have a great week, and best of luck to your teams. Thank you.